Chitra, we can start.
Yeah, okay, sir. Good morning to one and all. I'm Chitra from PS Quality Certification Private Limited, Chennai. Welcome you all for today's session. We have 20 years of legacy of operations. We provide advisory support to higher education institutes across the nation for getting accreditation under NAC, NBA, and NIRF ranking 2. We provide advisory support to HEIS in obtaining the deemed university status and complying with other statutory requirements. Also, we do advisory support in getting certification for various ISO standards, green, energy, and environmental audit, and academic administrative audit. We provide training for NABL, NABH, and quality tools. Also, we conduct FDP for faculties and value-added courses for students of HEIS. We also support HEIS in entering MOUs, securing consultancy funding, and establishing tie-ups with international universities. PSQC is a well-established professional research and development organization supported by highly qualified, devoted and experienced professional focuses on achieving quality. For today complimentary webinar on Beyond Bloom's Align the Assessment Outcome Matrix in the Next Paradigm by Dr. Umesh Chandrasekhar. We are honored to introduce our expert speaker, Dr. Umesh Chandrasekhar, a highly respected academician, trainer, and consultant in the field of quality assurance and higher education strategy. Dr. Umesh Chandrasekhar is a seasoned academic and industry professional with a rich career spanning journalism, international business and management education. A former associate of the Times of India, he brings a rare blend of media acumen and corporate experience to the classroom, having worked in the international sales and marketing across the UK and the United States. Dr. Chandrasekhar has held distinguished academic positions at institutions such as PSG Institute of Management and currently a visiting professor at the Kirloskar Institute of Management, Pune, where he continues to shape the next generation of business leaders. A strong advocate of quality and excellence in higher education, he carries deep expertise in accreditation frameworks and outcome-based education. Having worked extensively with bodies such as ACBSP, Accreditation Council for Business Schools and Programs, NBA, National Board of Accreditation, and NAC, National Assessment and Accreditation Council. With his unique combination of global industry exposure and academic rigor, Dr. Chandrasekhar brings both real-world perspective and institutional depth to every engagement. Once again, I am happy to welcome you, sir. You can take over the session now.
Thank you, Chitra. Good morning to all my fellow colleagues and participants. A couple of warnings before I start the presentation. This presentation is being recorded for training purposes, and it's also is being live cast on YouTube as we speak to you now. Number one. Number two, this presentation is a precursor to the next month's presentation, for which we will share details with you at the end of this presentation. This is what I call a white paper presentation. It's a presentation which is a work in progress. I just wanted to share it with my colleagues to get feedback today and to see if we can really work together and create a better outcome-based paradigm. The third point is that I'll be frequently checking the text or the messages. So any questions you have, please interrupt me and please ask me. If I'm able to answer, I will try to answer, or collectively we can come to an answer, because there is a lot of power in group thinking and in emergent thinking processes. So this is the basic outline. At the end of this presentation, there's also a workbook available for those who are interested to have a documented workbook to practice it, which my colleague Chitra will share with you based on your requirements. It's not going to be circulated widely. Just if you send a request to her, she will definitely forward the book to you. In any case, the presentations are being shared at the end of the session. So with these few words, I'll begin. I'll try to go as slow as possible. It may be quite possible that many of us may already know a few items which I'm going to present today. My apologies for it, but nevertheless, it's good to refresh our mind and to take it on as a learning curve or as a reinforcement of learning curve. Now, why is this topic very important? The first question is, let us see what I'm going to cover today to make you understand the logic of the presentation. The first is, can we deploy Bloom's taxonomy? I'm sure all of us know Bloom's. I'll give a background to that also as we go along. And what are the challenges in terms of deploying Bloom in higher education, especially? And what is this new National Higher Education Qualification Framework, which is being promised from 2023? There's a white paper on it, there's documentation on it. Personally, I find it very, very interesting. If you've not gone through that NHEQ documentation, please do. And again, if you don't have a copy, let us know. We'll send a PDF to you. It's available in the government websites. So there are specific criteria 4 and 6, which I will discuss, 4, 5, 6, which is very, very important in terms of what we are going to process further. And then I will try to understand what is the difference between pedagogy, andragogy, and heterogogy. Very, very important for us to understand, because Bloom's deals with pedagogy and we are dealing with young adults. So that's the reason we need to understand how the learning paradigm of young adults have changed, especially Gen Z, as we call them, or Gen Alpha, we call them. And, if you're teaching, you'll understand, a space of 10 years, especially after post-COVID, teaching learning presents and teaching presents a different challenge. And AI is not helping our case to be effective teachers in many cases. And then I'll try to create a model or suggest a model to you, which you can look at your own institute, which is more designed for adults. In fact, today, most of us here will be having UG programs. When they come to UG, they're 17, 18, and 18 is the age when you're defined an adult, as per even the Nyaya Samhita and all those acts. So we will look at that. So this is the basic framework. It should last for about an hour or 45, 50 minutes, and then we can have a discussion. We can, we can have an exchange of ideas and perspectives so that we have an enriched conversation. Please let this not be a monologue or a dialogue. Let it be a conversation. So please interrupt or please send a text message and on the chat message on this app, and we will try to take it periodically. Okay, so if somebody can confirm to me that I am audible and visible, visible is secondary. If I'm audible and the PowerPoints are visible, please give me a shake hand or a hello or a nod, or please say. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, but how to try to improve your voice, sir?
Huh? I didn't hear that.
Yes, sir.
I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir.
And visible. Okay, thank you. So let us now go to the next point. Why this discussion has become very, very important, and why are we taking up today? There are a lot of challenges, especially in the Ministry of Education currently, which, there's a Cockroach Janata Party, there is Mr. Pradhan, there are a lot of issues happening here. In fact, we do not know whether, NAC, the new scheme, when they're going to start, and what is the, the entire, the academic regulatory system is single window, 2 windows. We're not very clear about it. However, this present government has been sticking on NEP, National Education Policy, and this has become ingrained into the processes of accreditation, whether it's NBA or NAC. So we will assume that this is the way forward as far as we go in higher education. So NEP 2020 has moved from a teaching to a learning-centric mode. It's very, very clear with us that they want learner to be the center, not the teacher to be the center. So there's the first point I'm trying to make to you. And if you look at even the proposed new NAC standards, the criteria, 10 criteria, 10 plus 1 criteria, 10 criteria, you will see that learning outside the classroom has got huge weightages, which we've discussed in early discussions. So there is a paradigm shift in the model that, it has become, so we cannot no longer remain a teaching institute, we must become a learning institute. This is the first understanding which I get from NEP and other documentation I'm getting from that. The second point is that NHEQF is a level descriptor. It starts from the basic level, from a certificate, it goes up to PhD level. There are a lot of attributes. We are looking at 4.5 to 8 in the scheme of things. 4.5 is a UG program of 3 years, and 8 is a PhD program or even a postdoc program. So that is the range of of discussions which is there in NHUPF because it deals with the young adult education. And there are very a lot of options of, in NEP of multiple entry, multiple exit, and, accumulating credits and all those things that we will not touch here today. But the most important thing which comes out from that is if we are going to be learner-centric, then, what are the outcomes we are now giving our customers? What are the benefits we are giving our customers? So it's a customer-centric model. You cannot just open a restaurant and give food and say eat and get lost. No, we must take feedback from the customers. Similarly, outcome-based education is a feedback processes. Both is a 360-degree feedback process, basically, which not only talks about what is the outcome for the learner, what is the outcome for the teacher, what is the outcome in terms of recruiters, and what is the outcome in terms of the general societal interest in your institution. So this is one thing we should understand. Outcome-based education is not outcome-based course. It's an outcome-based education. And that's why we look at outcome-based education. We normally map it, we take a vision of an institute and then we break down the mission part of the vision. We create mission pillars or strategic mission points, and in which teaching and learning and research will probably be one of the 3 pillars which most institutions will have. And from the learning outcome, you have to decide what are they going to learn in terms of a mission and what is the outcome you want in terms of graduates. And from there, you take what's called the program educational objectives. At the end of getting this degree, what sort of life can they look forward to? What will their skills happen? And it's a more of a long-term perspective. And that's the reason why POs always are linked with the continual learning processes, the lifelong learning processes. And from this PO comes your program objectives or program-specific objectives. From there, you drive the course objectives or course outcomes. So this is the entire pattern. So there has to be a link between your mission statement, your PO, and CO. So there has to be a effective mapping done. In most cases, we don't do that. And why should we do it? It is because there is a reasonably high expectation of NHUQF because the attributes and the outcomes are very well and specifically designed and defined in the NHUQF document. And some examples I share with you now. Okay, and the point is that it's a question of employability also. See, employability, don't think it's looking, but employability also means what the NEP says, the entrepreneurship. Can you create graduates who can think like entrepreneurs? They may not all become entrepreneurs, but can they think like entrepreneurs? In management jargon, we have a term called entrepreneurship. So the entire process is trying to drive towards self-development and self-engagement and self-employment. This is very clear as a target. So therefore, all can't become entrepreneurs. Nevertheless, skilling part becomes very important. So the entire outcome-based education is having a right ship. What do you mean by right ship? Knowledge, skills, and attitudes, I would say abilities. Knowledge alone is not efficient. Knowledge must have relevant skills to be deployed, and skills must create abilities, and abilities must create insights. Insights means the ability to discover, find solutions, and solve problems. This is the entire loop of the outcome-based education. Now, what is the NHUQF graduate attributes? So this is generic graduate attributes, which NHUQF has mapped out very clearly. I have put it in an alphabetical order from right side to left side, A, B, B, C. You can see how many they are. There are quite a few items here, which are measurable. Some are not measurable. Some are questionable, right? So there is no two ways about it. But if you look at the basis of the say, just look at the first 5 issues of analytical reason, autonomy, communication skill, complex problem solving, community engagement services. See, there is very little of theory here. There is very little of theory here. It's all skill-based. It's all skill-based. See, empathy is a skill, right? So it's all skill-based. And skill-based or community-based or self-development-based in terms of moral perspectives and all those things. So this is the NHUQF graduate attributes. And after this, for each level, that like I told you from 4.5, 5.6, all this, each level, they have a separate set of unique set of skills which they expect at the end of the course or program you're designing. So this is the framework. Now, if you look at Bloom's taxonomy, which you're aware of, the 5-level taxonomy being create and understand, you will find that there is a huge gap which Bloom's does not cover. And the reason is because Bloom's is primarily cognitive in nature. And just to give an example to you, if you look at this is the generic learning outcomes. Yeah, generic learning attributes, graduate attributes are given here. All of this. Then you've got, suppose look at a 3-year degree, 5.5 factoring I'm taking, you have to have knowledge understanding, which is 3 out, which is basically your theory part of the game. Then you've got again skills, application of knowledge and skills, employability job skills, and human values. So this is the entire gamut. So you can understand, you're looking at, expectations which are probably 40 or 50 in nature overall for one particular course. Yeah. So this is where the challenge is. So the first one is, I call it the level 1 acquisition. Acquisition basically is knowledge and understanding. The left side, KSA matrix. Second is skill acquisition. Third is values. This is how I break it down. So when you're trying to create a new outcome-based education process, you have to, measuring knowledge is quite easy. Measuring skills and measuring values remains a huge challenge to most of us. This is the starting point of my argument, or the genesis of my argument as to why we are looking at beyond Bloom's. Any questions to be asked? Please let me know. And Chitra, are you there? Okay. Because if
Yes, sir, I'm here. I am here only, sir.
if any chat happens, can you just keep a track and just read the chat to me?
Okay, sir.
If possible. Okay. So I'll just pause for a second, and anybody wants to contribute or seek any clarification, I'll be happy to do it. Am I going too fast or too slow, or are you comfortable with my rate of delivery? Somebody said they can't see the slides. Can you see the slides?
No, sir.
Now I've stopped, but otherwise, somebody said they can't see the slides. So I'm just wondering.
No, sir, we can't see any slide.
Now?
Yes, sir, now we see.
Yeah. Sometimes there's a lag or sometimes there's an issue. So you should tell me right away, no? Why do you wait so long? Yeah, you should tell me before, no? I told you, why. If you don't tell me, I will not know. So please make sure that, I'm not numbered the slides deliberately, but, if you see that slide is not moving when I talk a topic, then you please come back. So this is the, come back again. Let me just go back from here. This, I think, was clear. Okay, this is the NHEQ of general graduate attributes expected in the documentation. Huge lot of it. My argument is that many of these things are skill-based and cannot be measured using a standard taxonomy like Bloom's. And that why it is like this, we will discuss as we go along. As an example, because NHEQ classifies level of education like 4.5, which probably is a UG level, and up to 8 it goes, like diploma, UG, then UG with honors in research, then you've got a PG, you've got a 4-year, you've got a 6-year, you've got a PhD, all these things are covered. But this is basically a generic attribute for all the levels in the NHEQ. Then as an example, I have taken a UG level 3 degree where they are also talking of not only the generic learning outcomes or graduate attributes given earlier, they also want some more outcomes to become. For example, if you look at general technical professional skills, there are 3 outcomes given there. So it becomes a very, very big mind map if I draw it. So it becomes huge. That's why I've compressed it. You can visit the document and you can definitely see it yourself. But level A first is acquisition of skills, which is okay. You acquire the knowledge and understanding. What do you do after that is very, very important. Then you acquire the skills. And knowledge and skills without values does not really create a citizen. So that's the reason why they're saying, let us look at value system. And in the given generational context, I think this becomes very, very important because, responsibility and ownership of the nation rests with the next generation. This is the argument which NHEQF is saying and also NEP is saying. All right. Now, let us understand pedagogy, andragogy, heutagogy. I will leave this slide just for you to read. Basically, I am not a, I am aware, with my experience and with my training and with my skill sets and with my advisory and audit engagements, I am against Blooms. Openly, I will admit to you, I'm against Blooms. Primarily because people are not trained to deploy Blooms effectively because there's a tool and outcome mismatch in most cases I've audited. And second thing is I think Blooms has outlived its requirement, especially in the age of AI technology and the learning curve changes. So basically, here what they are looking for, and if you look at the way they are creating private universities, they are encouraging online courses, they are encouraging self-learning. They are now trying to mandate MOOC courses like SWAYAM and NPTEL into your programs. It's quite clear that they want to move into an andragogy state of young adult learning. So, the role of teacher changes here. You see, if you notice, this role of teacher changes completely here. We cannot, in fact, in PhD institutions where I used to work before, where we were never called, they will say, Umesh Chandrasekhar, they will say knowledge facilitator. They don't put as a professor or a, they would put as a knowledge facilitator. And the reason is that, if you think you're teaching a student today, you're wrong. There are better teachers available online. Claude is a better teacher than you. CLAUD, Claude is a better teacher than you. And there are hundreds of videos which can do a job much better than you can. Therefore, the ability shift is very, very obvious. So a classroom necessarily is no longer a teacher-centric classroom. If you disagree with that, please comment. I'll be happy to have a short discussion to see whether my point is invalid completely or I am getting it wrong. Because I am slightly older than the average audience here. So you can correct me, right? So this is the challenge. The bigger challenge is heutagogy. Heutagogy is basically what we have to understand today. Because if you're looking at lifelong learning, heutagogy becomes very, very important. So if you're going to limit your programs just to the pedagogy part or just to the andragogy part, then there is no fun in it because of the fact that there are challenges plenty here. Therefore, your entire outcome-based education, your entire philosophy of your programs must drive towards andragogy and heutagogy. And the indication is very, very obvious today. You have to teach less and let them experience more. In fact, my classic comment about the new NAC, proposed NAC criteria is that more on the street and less on the seat. That's what they're saying. You don't make them sit, let them kick them out, make them work, whether it is activity-based, blended learning, collaborative learning, directed learning, experiential learning, project learning, the 20 kinds of learning, please engage in that. And the challenge is that it's very easy to say it, but you may lack the resources, the training, the ability, the skills, and even the hardware to deliver this particular outcomes. That is a different challenge. We can discuss it, but there are simple and easy ways of also dealing with it in the classroom level. Okay, so this is the learning framework. Please do look at it after the presentation is over, because this is a pretty decent self-audit map for us as a knowledge facilitator or a teacher, if you want to call it teacher, or a first learner. See, I always call myself the first learner. Why? Because if the day I stop learning, I will stop teaching. I have stopped teaching because of other reasons. I still teach young faculty. I still teach my colleagues. I still teach some students, but I don't take 160, 120, 60 class size. I don't teach because I don't have probably the ability or the patience to do that. So I don't do that. So this is the challenge. Now, as a faculty, you have to move towards andragogy and heutagogy. Pedagogy, chalk and talk is out. Let's understand that. Okay. So this is the map. Please look at it carefully after when it's circulated to you, and you'll see a lot of insights coming. And by the way, this is generated by Nano Banana Pro. Okay, so I use AI, but using AI has to be effective, and you have to read it, interpret it, and reframe it. Okay. So the Bloom's issue has got basically, there are two dimensions of learning. One is the knowledge dimension, and that is a domain dimension. So domain dimension talks of cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. See, cognitive learning, affective learning, psychomotor learning. So now knowledge dimension has got again factual, conceptual, procedural, metacognitive. Metacognitive is probably the highest level of learning in knowledge dimension. And then what you deliver? You have delivered the cognitive, the 6 levels, knowing, doing, the usual levels of what you've got. Affecting is valuing, attitude, behaviors, ethics, commitment. Psychomotor is doing, executing, practical skills. So if you look at the criteria 5 and 6, which is basically looking at affective and metacognitive, not touched by exams at all, not touched by MCQs at all, not touched by some assignments you can do it. Case study maybe yes, but very little of this is being touched, and yet NHEQ says affective and psychomotor is very, very critical in terms of your learning outcome. Right. So therefore, this is the paradigm or the gap in what we're doing in terms of Bloom's taxonomy per se and the outcome-based education in the highest form. All right. So now where do we go from here is the question. The question is, this is the how we work at, higher order and lower order thinking, lots and hots, right? So create, evaluate, analyze, apply, understand, remember, this model very, very well. I mean, in most course outcomes, they will start with understand, then they will CO2, apply, CO3, analyze, CO4, evaluate, CO5, create. Most CS will run with that. Now, the challenge is not this. Challenge is that how do you really effectively create a relationship between the two? And can your assessment tool measure all at one shot, or can at least measure 3 parameters one shot? This is the question which I am putting to you. All right. So if there is any, so I have been looking at some examples, and one thing which comes to my mind, which I'm not showing in the slide, I'll just share with you. If you understand the question, answer, and we will see how it goes. So this question has 2 parts, parts A and parts B. Okay. So what do you part A is, what do you understand by the formula S equals UT plus half AT squared? If you're a physics teacher or if you're a teacher in BSc, you should know that it comes from Newton's law of motion. What do you understand by S equals UT plus half AT squared? Correct? This is a part of the question. Part B is, Vande Bharat goes from Coimbatore to Chennai at an average speed of 100 kilometers per hour and returns at an average speed of 80 kilometers per hour. Question clear? Vande Bharat goes from Chennai to Coimbatore at 100 kilometers per hour on an average speed and returns at 80 kilometers per hour at an average speed. Correct? What is the overall average for the up and down journey? Is the question clear? Somebody say yes, or I'll repeat it. Is the question clear?
Yes, sir.
So what's the answer? Going at 100 kilometers per hour average speed, coming back at 80 kilometers per hour average speed. I give you a context. Normally they won't give context, but I give you a context. That explain S equals UT plus half AT square. So what is the answer? So what will the mathematical part of you say? Oh, average Keterka. Okay, 100 plus 80 is 180 divided by 2 is 90. Is 90 the right answer? Come on, wake up everybody. Good morning. There is sir. What is the right answer? Good. You get the point? And this is a question asked in, mostly it'll be asked in either NEET or JEE. They'll ask this question. Just to give an example. Now you understand? Understand, apply has come in the same question. End of the story. Matter closes. So this is the level. So higher order basically analyze, evaluate, create. 4 to 6 live in, and these are under-tested. Very, very clearly, we have got that idea. Remember, understand, apply, necessary but not sufficient for graduate level outcomes. Because remember, understand is basically vomit. So vomit has to be avoided. Therefore, this is one challenge in, not in the Bloom's, but in deployment of Bloom's. I'm just seeing any answer has come. No answer has come. That's fine, not a problem. Okay. Let us look at next level of the engagement. Next time engagement is that what do we do with Bloom's, or what do we do in outcome-based education? First is that you will use one verb, one measure. That's the formal rule they have told you. Well, that is because we want to keep it simple. Evaluation is simple. Then they will say align your teaching with the learning activity, the demanded cognitive level. Third is iron assessment, rubrics, and get evidence. And fourth thing is COP matrix and blueprint balancing the lots and hots, which is lower order learning and higher order learning. One example I shared with you, okay? So misalignment is a big challenge in terms of the outcomes and the tools used and the measure we do to measure the outcomes. This is a big challenging. So the intended outcome, teaching activity, assessment all sit at the same level. Then only can we create that. Misalignment is always a problem. This is called the Briggs principle. I'm sharing with you. Okay. This is the first part. Now let us look at the second part of the argument, which basically takes why am I saying Bloom's is not the effective tool or the ideal tool? Pause hierarchy. Because I told you, no, you just can't say understand, apply, I can put together. But the fundamental thing, no, don't mix up things. You can apply together. So it is not going, it is giving a sort of the effect which is called cognitive bias. Because it's measuring, cognition is not strictly linear. Somebody can not know a formula, but can give you a perfectly good application. Can give a perfectly good application. I'm not talking of using AI. I'm talking of a assignment without AI help. Somebody may not memorize the formula, remember, but he can give a very good practical example, or he can show by drawing or a model what he means, and he or she may be perfectly correct. This is the problem number one. Number two, like I said, it's a cognitive, affective, and psychomotor, which really are things you will require in society, in the world today, to unlearn, relearn, to socialize, to create your own value in an organization or become an entrepreneur. You require these two skills. That's not being measured at all. The third thing is, categories are overlapping. We're very clear. I've given an example to you just now. One example. Therefore, authentic tasks, authentic assignment will blend several of these at once, which we are not doing currently. Third thing is that value, ethics, empathy, collaboration is not at all a part of this exercise. And these are the most important skills today. If you look at the World Economic Forum skills report or look at India skills report, you will see that value, ethics, empathy, emotional intelligence, resilience, spiritual quotient, ability to unlearn, relearn, teamwork, or ability to do a job consistently. These have become higher skills today than just knowing knowledge, and that's the problem. In fact, in many cases, many companies are now coming to the realization that probably we need not hire graduates. Let us take +2 and give them a own program basis and train them. And that may be the way forward. I do not know. Then, Bloom's has worked in a pre-digital environment, and therefore digital fluency, network, self-regulated learning was not probably in the scheme of things. But today, the scenario has completely changed. So we require something for the post-digital world. So therefore, this becomes a limitation in terms of Bloom's taxonomy. And third thing is verb matching becomes a ritual. Because I can tell you, unless you use rubrics, your matching to the verb and your matching to the outcomes is meaningless. Because rubrics is the only way you can really qualify your assessment, which both the assessor and the assessee will have to agree. The income tax return you have to do now, no. The assessor may serve, you also have to agree. So it has to have a common ground approach. So unless you use rubrics, your outcome-based education is half-hearted and just numbers. And in most cases, it is numbers. And there are other issues in this assessment, which I will talk of as we go along in the presentation. Right? So this is the limitations of Bloom taxonomy. Where do we go from here? This is the next question I want to ask. See, the conventional exams or tests, they will just reinforce facts and definitions. They will just talk of concepts comprehension. They will talk of routine application of procedures coming from the back of a textbook. And it's a time-bound reproduction. Write 50 words, write 100 words, they will do it. And especially you got in some institutions where they will give you unlimited extra sheets for students to write. In my papers, I never give students extra space to write. I'm very, very clear. Most students, most examinations across the institutions I've seen, they are actually, I'm talking the summative examination, basically a 5-part paper. right? 5 questions with with the A, B, C's, where A is lots and B is lots and hots and C is hots. That's how it works. A, B, C. So C is the meat of the course outcome actually. So A, B, C will come. So 5, 1 A, B, C, 2 A, B, C. So mostly it will be 3, 7, and 10. So each question will have 20 marks. 3 will be the our pass position statement, as we call it, and 7 will be halfway. So now what happens is that when I'm doing a course outcome, question will have, say, CO1. CO1, the student will score 3. And the students will score 4 out of 7 in the part B. So he's got 3 plus 4, 7. In the 10 marks, he scores only 3 marks. How much does he get? 10. 10 out of 20 means 50% is passed. Numerically has passed, course outcome has failed. Right? We can discuss this further. This is the challenge. This is the challenge of a misalignment of the tool and of the assessment, right? And then in many cases, I've seen students will write for 3 marks, they'll write 100 words, and by the time they attend A and B, for C, they have no time left, they'll write 50 words. Whereas I'm expecting more for C. So my question papers are pre-designed. Part A will have only 10 lines. Part B will have 15 lines, and part C will have 25 lines or 30 lines. That's all you can write. End of the story. You don't need nonsense. Stick to the point, use bullet points, use visuals, and close the matter. So this is the reason why we are saying that what is the challenge is also in the assessment tool itself. The way you present the tool is very important. Then critical thinking, complex problem solving is there in some part in Bloom, but it does not really create a value proposition, because these things will happen only in a lab or in experiential learning processes or in a case study or in some other thing like a demonstration or peer learning processes. That is missing. Research, analytical, scientific reasoning is missing. Constant ethic, human values are not being measured. Autonomy, accountability, teamwork is not being measured. Capacity for self-directed lifelong learning. This is the bottom line of NEP, lifelong learning. So this 4 to 6 is becoming very, very critical. And therefore, if you don't review what you're doing today in terms of outcome-based education institution and prepare and understand that this is the skills I'm looking at in 2027, 2028, 2029 or 30, whatever it is, by the time the students graduate, if you're sticking to the conventional part of your assessment, the students are going to lose out completely on life. So that is the warning which I'm trying to share with you today. And that's why it's a white paper, so that you can work at it, understand that today you may not be able to deploy it, but next time when you want to deploy it, make sure that your course outcomes and your framework of referencing and measuring does cover what is being missed in the normal form of Bloom's taxonomy which you're using currently, whether it's for UG program or a PG program. So this is the issue which we are going to face tomorrow. And please remember, the new NAC has got a higher weight on outcome-based education. NBA always had a higher, whole section on outcome-based education. ISO 21001 2024 version, or the new version which has come out, has got a special category also for outcome-based education. So this is the way forward. And whether you're looking at, say, medical or nursing, they are driven by outcome-based education right from day one. So this is the challenge we have to face in other forms of education, especially engineering and management, and obviously the science and arts and liberal arts. Okay, this is the measurement gap. So I've explained to you briefly what is the Bloom's strategy, what are the limitations of Bloom's strategy, why it is wrong. Is Bloom's wrong as a tool? Yes and no. Is the deployment effective or ineffective? Ineffective. Is there better ways of doing Bloom? Definitely yes. But are there gaps in Bloom which Bloom's cannot cover in the new paradigm of education which government of India is proposing? Answer is yes, because they're missing out on some very, very, very important criteria of attribution learning, which is embedded both in the NEP and in the NG. Okay, this is the framework of the consequence of Bloom's. Now let me move to the next part of the presentation. Any questions or anything you want to share feedback? I am happy, I'm open. Chat line is open. Should I go ahead or should I review something for you? Are the slides visible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you, AABKB. Thank you. Digital blooms again. That is all. That is all. I can. There's a digital matters also. I got the model. I'll tell you. See, when we discuss some other models, you see the limitations of Bloom. See, because you have to go beyond it. See, you can it's if you're an engineer, if there's a car, you have got a car. So suppose you buy a say Maruti Desire. There's so much you can do. So much you can do. You can put spoilers. You can change the engine, change the tire, but it will never become a race car. And we require race car today. That's the difference. So digital adoption I have seen, but how do you interpret it in your classroom is a challenge. And are they effective? See, there are better tools available. I'll share with the tools. It's coming in 2 seconds. I'll share the tools. There are better tools available which make more sense. And no, we are not looking at, see, what is the objective of this taxonomy and the outcome-based education? It's not faculty. It is at the end of the day, my student should go out with a skill set, or at least some of the skill sets, because you can't convert 100%, some of the skill sets which are going to make him competitive, relevant, reliable, and employable or successful in whatever career path he or she chooses today, tomorrow, and 10 years from now. Because 10 years is a big thing for today's generation, because generation wants to retire at 40. If you ask, if you have young children who are 15, 12, I have a daughter who is 19, she says, 45, I want to retire. That's how life is today. But we'll work with that. We'll work with that. Like I said, Bloom's taxonomy, I am not comfortable with it. In fact, I have not seen US universities where I studied in US also, in UK also. We don't do much of Bloom's there. We have other ways of measuring it, which I will take up as we come. Okay. So this is the NHEQF, which I told you about, 4.5 to 8, level spanning huge basis. 4 years basically is what they're looking at now with research. And most institutions now, under the new program scheme, they're all are trying to get a BTech equivalent of 4 years. So BSc honors is very, very, or BA honors or B design honors. In fact, my daughter is doing a B design honors of 4 years program. So with a with research exit as possible, because ultimately research is very, very poor in India. So they want to create a research environment. And in fact, there are ways and processes in place where research is being encouraged. And then outcomes are defined as descriptors and not syllabus. So descriptors have to have evidence. And what do you mean by descriptors? Themes, knowledge, understanding, practical skills, aptitude knowledge, same thing what I showed you. This is the basic areas. The 6 areas need to understand. And knowledge understanding is only one part of the entire 6. So if you look at it, it's probably 16% of the entire process, your classroom activity. Okay. Having said that, let us now move into the framework. So what are we going to evidence? What have you got to evidence today? Yeah, we've spoken about what are, again, the evidence basically, if you look at the NHEQF, and which I personally also like, is basically higher order competencies, values, and autonomy and accountability. Why accountability becomes critical is because of AI and ML. Ownership of the work is very poor. Claude is very good. You got Humanizer. You got apps to change the your ChatGPT versions to make it look as if everything is there. Therefore, the policeman has to be smarter than the thief. So that the value of trust, I don't know if you experience it. If I look at my teaching experience, I started teaching from 2003. I was a principal of institute in Delhi. From 2003 to 2020, in online also I was teaching. 2020, 22, 23 after pandemic, I was okay. But from 2023 to 24 to 27, the trust between the student teacher or the learner and the facilitator, the trust level has come down substantively in my case. I believe all students, but trust nobody. Would you think that is right? Yeah. Do you think that the equation of trust, has it increased or reduced for you as faculty between you and the student? Reduce, yes. So therefore, Therefore, how do we create accountability? How do we create autonomy? Autonomy is very, very important because they want to work on their own. Accountability becomes critical. That's why ethics and values. So that's the reason why you go back, you see that ethics and values is being ingrained. And can you teach somebody to be ethical and have values? Big question mark in my mind, because I teach Indian ethics and values. But I'm saying at least if you can, teach them 1% improvement, 2% improvement, you've done a big thing, right? And it is not, there's nothing that, I am not critiquing about the behaviors. I'm just saying this is the way the world is today, right? So as teachers, as facilitators, we can only set an example. Okay, just give me 1 second and bear with me. I'll be back. Right, and I am back. So this is the framework which I'm trying to look at in terms of what we can do to go beyond Bloom's taxonomy and what we can do in terms of our own pedagogy, in terms of a curriculum, in terms of our outcome-based education. All right. So the problem is, a single answer test always is a challenge. MCQ is always a challenge. MCQ is good for conceptual learning, but does not deliver value. Okay. Then you may say, no, sir, but JEE uses MCQ, NEET uses MCQ, and you know the outcome of how MCQ is being done today. So it is basically mechanical, and it is just, like the bullock going around that oil mill. And you got quota, you got stuff like that. Whether they really check a person's intelligence, I have my own doubts, So that's one thing. The first thing what we need to do is that, to understand the higher order competencies is very important. Higher order competencies is level 4. Starting point. For higher order competencies, you have to have analytic rubrics, which I'll give an example to you. Then you have to have real world open-ended problems with no single right answer. And you may say, but it's difficult for us to create. I agree with you. But, at least try one. If there are 10 topics, you can try one. And, today, because of AI and things like ChatGPT or whatever you're using, Claude you're using, and if you're smart using Claude, I would suggest to you that please start learning Claude ASAP and use the prompts. You can see that, there are a lot of real-world scenarios you can create and construct, including models and apps using Claude, which you can deploy very well in the classroom, which excites students, because students like all this drama of technology. So you have to also have a learning curve in that. And so the authentic performance task becomes very, very important, Then, the challenge has been faculty and capstone projects. In fact, I will tell you, in one institution, I was very, very upset with their assessment processes when I went for the audit. Because faculty had a habit. This was a classroom of 60. And in most cases, most institutions, 60 is an optimized classroom. Somewhere I've seen 100 also, but 60 is an optimized classroom. Let us see, because normally when you get approved for an AI seat, is a batch of 60. So let us take a batch of 60 as one benchmark we have got. So I went and I asked what we are doing teaching and assessment audit. And I asked the faculty to come with the course file, which is a different story. If you want to understand course file, come to the next session in July. we will unravel the whole Pandora's box there for you. And Chitra will send the email to you, and there's also a slide at the end of the presentation. So they said, no, we are very good. We are giving very, very good field projects for them. I said, fantastic, very good. Field project, yeah, very, very good. So how many projects have you given? Oh, I have taken 6 projects and I have given 10 students each project. Same project, 10 students doing. Now hand in heart. Unless the project is substantive, where each person can have a role assigned, task assigned job, do you think the 10 will work? It will not work. Unless the faculty has the ability of reviewing their work one by one every other week. Not going to happen. So it is a lazy way out. It's a lazy way out for 10 people to work on a project. If you're building a car or building a drone, maybe yes. But still, I doubt if 10 people are required. So therefore, capstone projects never get the seriousness, never get
சொல்லுமா
the city.
சொல்லுப்பா
Mute பண்ணிக்கோமா.
பார்த்தேன் ஒரு கிளாஸ் வந்து 70
Sorry about that. Okay. So that is one challenge there. The second part is research and inquiry. We have to understand, dissertations, problems. You have to understand literature reviews at the UG level itself, because the idea is that, research skill has become very, very important today at that level also. Then you have got, structured viva versus objective structured clinical examination. See, OBSC is for medicine. Right. I always tell a lot of institutions, forget outcome-based education. Just give me a list of students, and before the final exam, I'll randomly pick 10 students out of 60, and you give me a set of questions, and I'll ask them the set of questions orally to answer. And I will know within the first 4 students, I will know what the outcome education has been. You agree or not agree? So therefore, that is why I'm saying a viva part or an engagement part becomes very, very critical. And that's where real learning happens. That's where you really assess the student. So now, as an example, I will tell you what we have initiated in a management program, which is already there in medicine before. It's nothing new. I'm just giving an example to you that, in today also, especially for most institutions and most programs, internship has become mandatory, right? So the students will go on internship, and internship means companies will take them on. Companies says, Talevali, it's a waste, a headache. This fellow's coming and sitting here. So for them, for the company, it's a CSR activity. Very few companies offer serious internship. Some do. I'm not saying no. Or some give stipend, some make them work. In most cases, it is just sitting and signing and, eating tea, vada, coffee or whatever it is, and pretending to work. It's not the right way of doing it, but that's how it happened. And what they will do at the end of them, they will give a report, again, cloud-based report. They'll give you beautiful report. You'll give marks and close the matter. So what we did is that we said, let them use cloud, let them use what they're using. We don't care. Let them make a poster presentation, a 4 A3 size poster in landscape about the company, about the role, what they learned, and what do they recommend to the company. The 4 they will put up as a poster, color poster, and you'll get people from industry and outside recommendations and internal people also to sit and make them talk on their feet. And we will assess them using rubrics. And that one assessment can give you multiple outcomes. Lateral thinking, creativity, ability to solve problems, multiple outcomes can be measured with one specific tool like this. In fact, all of the blooms can be measured by one exercise if done effectively. My limited point is that. Therefore, we look at structured clinical examination. This is one example of structured examination using a poster presentation, which you can look at. And again, poster presentation means no notes, nothing. They have to stand, they have to own it. So even if they have used cloud, you can ask them questions. If they can answer, they learn from cloud. I'm happy with that. Going beyond cut and paste. The other part is, there are a lot of stuff available, like, you got Kaggle. If you're working with data, you got Kaggle, you've got other websites which give a lot of data. The simulation data tasks, digital, analytical, scientific reasoning evidence. So clinical or lab-based work or simulation has come to the fore. You have to be more creative and you have to work out how to solve real-world problems. And, if somebody is there in science, look at Royal Institutional Christmas lectures available on BBC, on YouTube. You'll see how they practically demonstrate science. It's a beautiful thing. I know one can say, no, sir, it's old dated. No, on the contrary, because an activity-based learning excites students even today. I have seen that students are driven by activity and experiential learning. They learn faster than just PowerPoints and chalk and talk. All right. So this is the how to create the evidencing for the higher order competencies, which becomes critical. Number 4. Okay. Number 5 is again effective. Effective because I told you cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Effective is your inner self. And today you realize that there are a lot of medical issues, there are a lot of psychological issues, right? For example, there's a word called doom scrolling. I don't know if you heard of it. Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling is like this, keeping on going till you die. Doom scrolling. And definitely post-pandemic, I have seen behavioral changes and behavioral issues among a lot of young adults. And this continues along, and we are reading stories and cases about it in the newspapers. Therefore, values are demonstrated over time. So you have to assess behavior, reflection, not opinion. So some tools are effective journals, some tools are ethics case analysis, some are service committed learning. I know faculty do not understand. Some service committed learning when you're doing, you should have a course plan, a course objective, a course outcome, a process, an evaluation, and a feedback system in place. So this community service learning has become extremely critical because this is where NAC is putting a lot of focus in two criteria. They're putting almost 40 points, 50 points for new. NAC is working on service and community learning. So you have to design your curriculum and design your courses to reflect this also. Then behavior observation, rubric-based behavior observation. For example, if they're giving assignments, right? And you have got things like Turnitin or Drillbit plagiarism tools, which are supposed to use mandatorily now. That's what I was told. But therefore, you have to understand that. You have to understand the observation of integrity and politics and how do they behave. What are the behaviors? So there has to be observation. And observation not in terms of being a dictator or being a ruler or being a Hitler or being a one with a policeman, to make them understand the consequences of this behavior early on. So therefore, many institutions, private institutions, they are now, he will not pay fees and go away. Fine. But that is where the test of character. Then you have got situational judgment. So you give them situations which are difficult situations. I got about 20, 30 with me. If somebody wants it, just send Chitra an email, I share with you, because I'm going to publish a book probably by end of this summer on ethics and values, which is a broad-based thing, where I've given a lot of situational judgments, where, you cannot take a hard call. You cannot take a hard call. There are a lot of grays. So that, can you teach them difference between black and white and grays is what's important here. Then there has to be a multi-source feedback, on values in action. You cannot have just one assessor. For example, if you have a club activity or if you have a group activity, how does it behave? And especially this comes out very well. The effective behavior measurements come out very well if you have a very beautifully designed, well modulated, well assessed outcome-based training programs. In PhD, we have one, which is, we call it ALPS, Active Learning Program Services. Outcome-based is treated as a picnic and is treated as a day out and is treated as fun of bonding and all. But true outcome-based, outbound-based education can give you a lot of rich data about effective behaviors among people. And how you can correct them also can be taught. And it talks of leadership, it talks of peer support, it talks of multiple parameters here. Then we come to 6. So 4, 5, 6, like I'm telling you, is a difficult measures. I've taken these 4. I can go to all, but this is where I'm sticking to at this point of time. And obviously, time is always an investment which you have to make. So 6 basically talks of autonomy and accountability, and this is a real challenge. A real challenge. And I'll tell you how this. So for example, in one time, what I did, I said, okay, we are doing a course. I was doing a course. I think I was doing a course on ethics only, right? It was a course on ethics, and there are some ethical courses available in Coursera. I'm talking of 3-4 years ago. Now I'm very smart. Okay, I also learned 3-4 years ago. I was doing a course on ethics, and those days, it was the pandemic time was there, so we could not really engage them in classroom. So I said, you complete this ethics course, but don't pay for the certificate. Send me a screenshot of the completion and upload into the drive. Class of 45, all 45 came. Right? So I am saying very happy. Then I said, hang on a minute. Photoshop is there. You have got other tools. What prevents the person from taking one certificate, changing number and putting the name? End of the story. I will never know. Then I said, now I floated another form. I said, please send me your login ID and your password for this particular course. And then you can change it. And then what? Guess what happened after that? Half of them failed and had to do a retest. Do you understand? So autonomy is very good. Accountability has to come with that. And how you create that portfolio. And then it's a MOOC is basically a portfolio. All the large courses you do, for example, certifications you do like SWAYAM and all the NPTEL authors are basically e-portfolio. E-portfolio is your electronic portfolio of learning through digital processes. That is the evidence of growth, ownership, and reflection has to be there. Then self and peer assessment. Let the person or let their peers assess themselves. When I have a presentation in the class, like I said, my presentations, maximum 12 slides, 3 people in a group, and I will decide who present what slide. That way they cannot say, I did the work, he did the work. If somebody says that, all of them will fail. So all of them will be nervous, they'll come in. And 3 people are there. So if there's 3 people, team A is doing that, team B or team C is chosen randomly, 3 people will evaluate each person. And I will sit at the back with the same rubrics. And believe me, that in this process of transparency, what that the other group is evaluating and my evaluation, the score difference will be plus minus 5%, which is a very tolerable statistical inference from my point of view. 5%, even you and I will disagree. Some exceptions are whether matters of love or hate, where things will change, but we are smart enough. We know how to catch that also. So I'm saying, why do you want to create work for yourself? Why don't you look at an accountability in terms of self and peer learning? And that only will happen if you have the right rubrics. Because if I'm assessing it, if I have a rubric point, the rubric point is pakka. And if it's pakka, then we can discuss about it. And after discussion, either I can move one level higher, one level low, both are to us. So rubrics is important. If you give marks, sir, I wrote the same thing, he wrote the same thing, I said the same thing, she said the same thing. So no, that's why rubrics becomes critical. And rubrics has to be structured very well. Then again, accountability, when you're doing internship, when you're doing projects, you see the project observation has to be third-party observation. Therefore, when you're having a supervisor at the internship level, or when you have got, other initiatives like field projects, you have to have other people observing and making, calls about their bit to work. So therefore, that is a process to understand. Then learning contracts. Learning contracts is a new term. And why are learning contracts important? Because all education processes are talking of what I don't like, weak learners and strong learners. You heard of that, no? Everywhere it is there, no? NAC also it is there, NB also it is there. How are you handling the weak learners and strong learners? I think they're nothing like weak and strong learners. There are weak and strong teachers, I agree with you. Weak and strong learners are not there. I know you cannot distinguish between twice, right? Therefore, students needing extra support, students who don't need so much support. As simple as that. So learning contracts. So let us have learning contracts. Let's have. So when we go to a class, when you start a class, we have a consensus with the class rep that this is the target, this is what we're going to find out, this is what we're going to learn. Can we agree on a common agenda to deliver the value? And that's very, very important for to understand. And in many cases, in my experience, what I've done is that this learning contract, what is the learning contract? Your course plan is a learning contract. Please understand. Your course plan is a learning contract, but it's a one-sided contract. The fellow is forced to sign it now. So have you explained the outcome of the program to him or the course to him? Have you explained him or her how you're going to be assessed? Have you explained the expectations you have got? Have you shared a perspective with them? And in many cases, I've seen that, I design a course plan within the first 3-4 sessions. I understand that my course plan was either too ambitious for this particular cohort, because we go by cohort experiences. No. See, last time I did something, so I had a course plan, I reviewed it, I found, Baba, these topics I need not deal with because, I can give self-learning for them, because my philosophy is 1/3 of the syllabus students learn by themselves. So maybe that may not work this time. So I have to fine tune it. So therefore, I always tell the HODs and, I tell faculty, see, faculty will go mechanically and deliver the course plan. But is a course plan revision required? And they will say, no, sir, we are running for 20 years. Baba, 20 years, you are the same person with the same IQ. But the generations following in the classrooms have different IQ, different abilities. So course plan cannot be written in stone. It has to be written in pencil. Because you have to review your course plan. And course plan review is done normally through a mechanism which you call class committee meetings in many institutions, where the class committee in a semester, suppose semester of 6 months, we meet 3 times. Once after week 2 or week 3 to understand how the class is understanding. Then before the midterm exam, as you call it, so that you understand what has been covered. And before the final exam, to make sure that the entire loop is closed. So these three processes are also important. Therefore, that is the learning contract. And learning contracts can be shifted, can be changed, can be modified, because outcomes have to reflect the students' knowledge, skill, ability, and ability to also absorb and deliver knowledge. So you can't set a pole vault jump which the student really can't do, because that demotivates them also. And that is the main challenge you have got. And capstone defense, you cannot have a final assignment, or you cannot have a major assignment without a viva, without a presentation, without a one-to-one interview, because they will cheat, they will cut, paste, copy. Therefore, you have to have, even if it's 3 minutes, you have to have a one-to-one engagement. Okay. And then, you have to also create opportunities in your curriculum where you can give them, look, this is there. My course has got these extra things beyond the classroom. If you want, you learn. And if you learn, very good. And if you show me evidence of learning, I will definitely look at your scores much more passionately or much more friendly, and I will reward you in some way or the other. And this is why we need to do this, is to ensure that the higher, the competent learners in the class can go the extra mile and deliver value for themselves. Because in a classroom, people drive different speeds. So people are driving very fast, they'll get bored. So give them that particular opportunity to get that extra credits, or give them opportunity to get that extra benefit from your sessions. This is the autonomy and accountability. So 4 was basically higher order competencies, 5 was basically ethics and effective, and this is psychomotor, self-driven factor. Very, very important in terms of value autonomy, right? So this is the 4, 5, 6. Now, some examples of how we can do that, and some constructs I have given to you. And the constructs are basically looking at a proposition of construct. Competencies construct means critical thinking, problem solving, research. 3 items I've given you there. Then these are the tools, and this is the evidence what you to produce. And this is where we look for this. We look for this in your course files, which is, like I said, next month's presentation. Second thing is values, ethical, constitutional, and humanistic values. Very, very important. Embedded in NEP, embedded in NAC, embedded in all what you want to see. And one part which is coming in now, which is basically IK, which is the Indian Knowledge System, which is almost now mandatory as far as I'm concerned. So that you have got referred to journalist ethics, and SJT is situational judgment test. What will you do if you're faced with this problem? And there are a lot of mini cases available. You can create your own, and every day you'll have a lot of things in the papers. You can do paper cuttings and give them real test of ethics. That's what happens, right? And the evidence is that principled reasoning. You have to record the reasoning, you have to record the evidence for that. And autonomy is self-directed lifelong learning, e-portfolio, self-peer review, internships, contracts, and more importantly today, things like LinkedIn. LinkedIn becomes very, very important. So LinkedIn has to have evidence-based requirement mandates that you please encourage LinkedIn, please encourage blogging, include blogging as a part of your assignment if you like, and include your self-managed performance. Again, that's the reason why you have to have a longitude over the 2 years what they do, the 4 years what they do. At the end of it, how do they improve their curriculum vitae? How do they improve the skills, and can they work independently is what we're looking for in this particular parameter of 6. Autonomy with accountability is the word accountability. All right, this is the framework. So this is the evidence triangulation. Is it very difficult? Answer is yes. Can it be automated? Partly yes. Does it require a radical thinking? Yes. Then how do we do it? Yes. Do you need to teach 100% of the syllabus, or can the student learn 20% by themselves, and you can spare the energy and time to deliver real value? So therefore, one part of passing the exam, other part of reskilling it. So I have a rule of called 33%, that if it's a formal subject, not a continuous assessment subject, because continuous assessment subjects lead to gradual learning process. If it's a formative summative subject, like say economics, I will not teach 1/3. I have a 33% rule. I will not teach 1/3. That 1/3 I used to give case studies, development, analysis, and simulation. Like that, you have to create a structure. Okay. Then let us come to the meat of the part. And the meat of the part is that let us look at some examples of that. I've just taken engineering, science, and management. By and large, I think most of my audience today will have this particular framework. Just sample of rubrics. Again, this is AI generated, but AI used effectively can make a job much easier. Okay. So now look at this. For example, so can you see here one example I've given you? So higher order competency. Design a low cost water filter for peri-urban community, model product validated. That's all there is to it. Right? You can say, sir, one class can all of them do these things? No, you have to find out for your subject, or you decide as a strategy, as a faculty group strategy. If you're doing say be mechanical, you decide for the mechanical engineering, all of you decide. Can we take other projects or integrated projects? So a faculty, five faculty can create a project which all five can measure across. That also is possible. Yeah. Again, professional values example has been given. Yeah, do internship document problems. You can take a lot of case studies. You can even take a lot of scenarios, and create the portfolio. And again, e-portfolio, like I said, become mandatory now. In fact, a lot of institutions, what we are doing is that it's called early exit program. What happens, for example, if you look at the MBA program, normally it's for 4 semesters. Or say 6 trimesters. 4 semester, what happens is that the last semester normally is from January, February, March, April, or December because Christmas, January, February, March, April, and it also can go on till May. So what we do is that we do early exit. We keep project in the last semester, and we keep 2 MOOCs. We have one outcome course. So one statutory course is over in 3 weeks. By January it is over. Then February, March, April, May will be online MOOC courses or point based. So they'll come back one day and close the matter. That way they're available for employment from February 1st itself. And in many cases, many institutions run very late. I have seen, especially in Karnataka, they start in October, November, and the course ends in September, which is very sad because students miss out on employment opportunities. So early exit is one option. But for that, autonomy accountability becomes a very, very important parameter. Okay. This is for, say, for engineering, and this is the rubric, for example, suppose so this is one rubric I've given for the particular, the project, water filter system. This is how this works. So you have to understand the problem, analyze, implementation, validation, ethics, safety, sustainability, and automatically. This is how this is done. Very simple, very easy to use, and you have to be clear when you're assessing it. So can you quantify this? Yes. You can put a score and put it, no problem. But then students should know exactly where they stand. Okay, because it can go anyway. It can go zigzag, it can go anywhere. It can be, 1 may be here, 1 may be 2, may be at 3, 4, 5. So levels will be changing. So you can even do the what's called the dot matrix. You can draw the graph also on this to show you can reverse it, put a graph if you want to show the competencies. And you can do the entire cohort competency you can create with this. So this is one example of capstone. Keep it simple. Don't make it very, very complicated because, it is difficult otherwise to evaluate and really understand what is this. So you decide, my target is say 3 or say 3.5, depending on where you are in your class score. So the target can also be set with this. So each outcome will have a measure. Okay, this is why it's important to understand this. And again, each criteria can also have an outcome. Map your course outcomes and program outcomes. This is one part of the rubric, and this is the beauty of rubrics. It's difficult to make because you have to customize it for your each assessment tool you're using. But nevertheless, standard benchmarking is also possible. Certain things like communication and writing and all is standardized. You can use across the institution. Certain subject specific, you have to look at what you're doing. But nevertheless, in my experience, for any program, whether a BTech or MBA program, a set of 10, 12 rubric sets in a book can cover all the subjects quite effectively. Okay, this is one more thing. So this is a BSc thing, same thing I'm trying to show you again. Health sciences, if it is a program which is run by Nursing Council or NMC, I can't say anything about it. You can specifically give me a course, I will try to help you. But I'll do it offline because I may have to think about it. So if you tell me specifically what you want, I will answer. Just give an example and I'll answer. You can come to the chat and I will look at it. Okay. So again, this is like I told you, one example I gave you, explain S that formula I gave you. This is what it works. That's what it works like. Okay, just you go through this. And dental council is there, no? Come online and tell me, explain to me slightly more. I'll be better off. You can please switch on your audio and talk. No problems. The bandwidth is good today. Ma'am?
Sir, myself, Dr. Shabana
Yes.
from Sri Venkateshwara Dental College.
Yes, ma'am.
So, can you just give us an example for a POCO mapping according to this Rubik capstone pertaining to dentals? How to map
This one. This
yeah,
one, no? This
yeah.
slide, right?
Yes, sir.
What subject do you want in the first?
Sir?
What subject do you want?
In dental, sir.
Dental is a big subject, no? BDS, no? Tell me one
It's
subject.
BDS, sir.
BDS is
In
what
that you want
subject?
like oral pathology?
Oral pathology. Very good. Very good. Oral pathology. Correct, huh?
Yes,
Oral
sir.
pathology. Now, oral pathology means definitely there will be case studies, and there will be video evidence, and there will be data about oral cancer because of tobacco chewing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right?
Yes, absolutely, sir.
Right? So now,
Yes.
now you understand where it fits in?
Yes.
You get it now? Problem definition. Have they understood the causal defect? Have they understood what is the mucosa lining impact? Have they understood the lifestyle of the patient? Have they understood what is the level they have to examine? Or you just look at a simple thing like evidence for root canal. Root canal, is it a necessary requirement, or what is the end decision stage for root canal? The root canal is one of the most expensive single tooth operation today. To my mind, I don't know, I may be wrong. Root canal is expensive. So what is the need assessment, right? Or if you're looking at, you're looking at, just giving the injection to denumb it, injection. What are the implications of that? Okay, what are the impact dosages? So you can look at it. So when they're doing the demonstration, when they're working on stations, this works very well. And let them assess themselves. A simple thing like case reporting, assuming that a student is sitting there behind a professor and taking case notes. Has the student followed it exactly, and has he or she just copied it, or has she also added her own notes? That possibility is this. Has she added value? See, most of them will cut and copy and paste. Proficiency will show. No, it's not like that. Can the student add value to the particular, the patient profiling report? Can the student also create a system where she has benchmarked effectively the processes? Can she also follow what treatment recommendation has been done and then close the loop? And what has she learned from it? And safety, again, has the student checked that when that the equipment is sterilized on a case by case basis? Has the gloves been changed? Right? So we can go on like this. But I don't know, I'm not saying the dental syllabus, but if it's like the NMC, then NMC, everything is objective based and they have created a value. But it is a question of your creativity, it's a question of what you want as outcome. So I give one example to you. I'm not a dentist, thank God, because my teeth are, with God's grace, very good, not a problem so far. But there are a lot of scope for you, man, in this. Especially in terms of, say, mouthwash, efficacy of mouthwash. Would recommend mouthwash, or you're saying, you use Paradox toothpaste. What study have students done to recommend toothpaste? Everything can't be marketing and profits, no? So that you can do. There's a lot of things you can do, man. And again,
Okay, fine.
definitely I have seen that they go on field visits and they go on, what's called the open clinics. Venkateshwara,
Okay.
I'm sure. Community dental, they don't know. Ma'am?
Sir, yes, sir.
How do you map it?
We do go for fee.
How do
Yes,
you
sir.
map it? How do you map it? What they do? Learning outcome, how do you map it? Right? So
Like when
I
they
want to
go.
know, no, suppose you have gone taken students out and you have examined, say, average 50, 60 patients you have examined in a clinic. How many of them have a risk of cancer have identified because of the habits? That is where the rubrics come in.
Okay.
That's where the rubrics come in. That's where the real value
Okay.
happens, ma'am. And
Okay,
so faculty also have to create rubrics for themselves first. That's the challenge. Okay. Thank you for the question. I
Okay,
hope I have answered something, but I think all of us benefited from your question. Thank you very much for it. Mm.
sir. Thank you.
Yes. Anything else?
இப்ப நமக்கு எங்க போய் எத்த இடம் ராமனையா சேல்ஸே உங்க வகுப்பே எல்லாம் வாங்கிட்டாங்க.
Sorry, I have to mute people sometimes. Don't worry. Okay, so this is one for BSc, MSc. I'm not going to deal with that in length because availability. There are some examples. You see the LOCF at the bottom. You see there's something called LOCF. LOCF is called Learning Outcome Based Curriculum Framework. That is a mandate today. That's a mandate today. You have to have Learning Outcome Based Curriculum Framework. Most of the frameworks you'll have POCs, everything mapped out. That's a different this thing, but this is the framework has to be created for us. And the framework has to be new because of the outcomes are now different in terms of NHUPF. This is for BSc, MSc level, and one for MBA, and again rubric I have created, investigation rubric I have created. Okay. How to map 4, 5, 6, because I'm focusing on 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3 and all you can do, understanding all apply, supply, you take from Bloom's, I don't care, but this is higher order learning. I wanted to have rubrics, I wanted to have specific outcomes, I wanted to also have NHEQ 4 mandates as per your requirements for your particular program. And that's important because that's where the robustness of design of your curriculum and of your course plan comes through. And that's also now moving along, I think both NBA and NAC, whichever form they exist, will be looking at evidence very strongly, right? This is one example I given for this particular program. I mean, this again AI generated, you can generate it and you can use it, no problem. But then you have to read and understand it to make sure that it is simple, understandable, and that at your level, when you design your course plan and you put the assessment, you're trying something new, please try something new and fail very quickly. If you don't do that, you'll be in a rut. Please try something new and fail quickly. Try and do a pilot and fail. I have no problem because failure teaches you much more than success. So therefore, this is one example of PSC. That's similar for MBA. Now, market entry strategy. This is something governance. I give an example to you. And this is not, this is not basically. I'm not suggesting for each subject or each topic for any of the programs, whether it's UG, PG, MG, whatever. I'm saying that certain subjects will lead easier to certain things, some will not. So, you cannot create a course plan for a year in a silo. All people, all HODs, all faculty teaching that particular year must get together and map all their outcomes and make sure that they're covering everything between themselves. Because one part is a course outcome, other part is the entire program outcome, which is critical. So therefore, a course outcome cannot work in isolation of program outcome. In many institutions I've seen, oh, no, they are teaching that, they're doing, no, it has to work together. So if there's a chemistry subject or a mechanical subject and electrical subject, all those things all have to sit together and then design a LOCF, which is the learning outcome based curriculum framework, because it's not a subject curriculum. Curriculum is for the program. So please understand that there's much more integrative approaches. And actually, if you work like that, you'd find your measures become easier because you can allocate the measures amongst yourselves very effectively. So one tool can give 2 measures, or one assessment can give 2 measures, 3 measures across the board. So that is where you require training. And unfortunately, institutions don't want to invest in training or development. What can we do? And LMS is another very important tool, and many institutions don't seem to understand what LMS does. Training is not given there. Some limitations I observe, but we can only hope. Now, so this is how this works. Now, if you're coming along now to the 6 principles of how young adults learn, and this is very, very important. Now, principles. Young adults are not older children. So assessment taxonomy should respect their choices. Okay. They will learn. Sir, why should I know this? First question, why should I learn this subject? Have you got explanation? I don't. Many cases I don't, because the curriculum is badly designed. But if you talk to me about my subjects, I can give you 10 reasons why you need to learn. So if they don't see any value in what they're learning, then your course plan has failed. And need to learn why this it matters is how you understand and tell them about course outcomes and course objectives and how it helps them in life. So mechanical thinking has to be avoided. You have to be creative. And they want to do their own learning. You see, today everybody is talking of attendance. You know, I have seen students in several institutions. I have seen, and they have got something called commutation fee. The fellow has only 50% attendance. He'll pay 5,000 rupees to cover the attendance, and then he's the topper in the class or she's the topper in the class. And you know, and here we are looking at a level where attendance is given 5% mark because they won't sit in the class. You decide what you want to do. Because we are not in the frame of doing continuous learning assessments. That's the problem, no? I know, in fact, every week, if you have a learning curve, you know, pre and post assessment, they'll all come. They have to. So you have to also understand, you have to work the extra mile to put them in class. Today, it's making them sit in class very difficult. And in several institutions, I've seen 90 minutes classes. Here, 90 minutes, you will run away if I do presentation for 90 minutes. So I'll be stopping in another 10 minutes, I'm sure. 10, 15 minutes, I'll be stopping. So readiness. That's why I'm saying, unless they understand that this is going to benefit me, they will not be there. And in certain cases, students are not ready for the course. In most cases, I have seen students have taken the course because they did not have taken your particular program or your particular institute because they did not get admitted into a course of their choice or a course of their institute. Number one. Number two, they have joined the course because their elder brother or their uncle recommended and did it. In choice number three, they didn't know what to do, so they did it. Choice number four, the boyfriend, girlfriend, or close friend is joining. Machi, Nanava, all get together. So none of them have really come. Very few, 10% have come really because they're interested in learning for themselves. If I'm wrong, please put me in chat here. I will withdraw my statement. But this is the experience. And in that, you have to now engage them. You can't let them go. No, after all, they're investing. Their parents are investing money, time, energy by sending their children. So you have to understand the readiness part. Second thing is, every time they prefer a task. You let them do some social event. You see how they will do. Wonderful they will do social events. Perfect they will do social events. Tell them to honor the picnic, they will do perfectly. Therefore, abstract subject matter is now becoming a challenge. Therefore, they prefer tasks. So how do you create tasks and how to transfer the abstract to the reality is something which you have to learn. And they're not grades. They will complain. Some of them will complain about grades because, especially, I find that in a lot of students, especially females, they're very worried about grades. And I tell students that grades is secondary. You take a CGP of 8 or CGP of 9. CGP of 10 doesn't make a difference because, in my experience as placement, the top 5% who get very good CGPs don't get placed. And most students who get placed very well have 1 arrears or 2 arrears, but they got a fantastic resume and fantastic LinkedIn profile. They've done activities which are much more relevant to the employer. But they require intrinsic motivation. And intrinsic motivation will be a challenge. Internal goals will be a challenge for you. So therefore, this is how they will learn. And please understand, these things are not a snapshot. They'll every month, every day, every hour, it will change. I'm telling you openly, it will change because that's how they are designed. You cannot change the design. They are, very, as they say in Tamil, adhika akrosham, avisham, and ase. Speed. Too much of speed, too much of anger, and too much of desire. Quickly, min-max theory, I call it. Okay, this 6 principles and all which is given, how to work with it. Now we have to look at a taxonomy which fits young adults and which also matches both the andragogy and the NHEQ. So therefore, there's something called Fink's taxonomy of learning. If you're aware of it, I salute you. If you're not at it, this is the model I'm going to talk of for the next 10-15 minutes before I wind up and leave this with you. Like I said, it's a white paper. and I will leave the discussion with you. The first is foundational knowledge. Take it, Blooms, go with it. I have no problem. Application, integration. So knowledge, skill, ability. Knowledge, skill, ability. Then human dimensions, values and relationships. Very, very important. So let me just highlight it for you in case you're not following the line of thought. Let me just follow for you. So knowledge, skills, and ability. This is very, very important, ability. Okay. And then this is the development of self. This has to go together. To connect people, you require these two skills. This I can give in the classroom sitting, beating them up. This I cannot give them unless I give them good work, practical work, hands-on work. And more importantly, if they don't have this, then they must have to get what's called insights. And insight is learning how to learn. Because today the challenge is that you have to rapidly unlearn and relearn. If you don't do that, you'll become outdated completely. Right? So the chance is that today an engineer with one skill sets in 5 years may become unemployable. Therefore, this becomes critical. And this only comes if this is happening. So integration becomes critical. Integration and self. Yeah. So learning about oneself will tell you that I have to learn for life because I have to integrate this and my life and how my life is going. It's a beautiful model. Okay. So this is the model which I'm talking about. And this is called Fink's model. And I will try to now go through some dimensions of Fink's model with you. All right. And there are enough evidence available online and website that Fink's is mapped to Bloom's also. So a transition from Bloom to Fink's is not a challenge. Fink's also has equal number of verbs. Fink's has also got equal number of tools and assessments, which is available online. You can definitely look at it. But I personally feel that this is much more holistic, much more better way of learning than Bloom's per se for what we are trying to achieve in terms of young adults. Okay. So now, again, I've stuck to 4, 5, 6 only because that's where the situation is. So now, if you look at application plus integration, can you see it? Application, integration, dimension, caring, learning. 6 dimensions of the combination of Fink's taxonomy. So application integration will create a criteria 4 competencies: problem-centered and authentic task capstone rubrics. Caring plus human dimension, values, experience plus relevance. How do you create? You give them experiences, give them relevance of learning. Then you have what? Journals, ethics cases, and situational judgment test. All this will come to you. Learning how to learn is autonomy. By giving them MOOC, by giving them courses, by giving them self-learning within the program itself, within their course plan itself, so that they get motivated to learn. And have a system of awards and rewards. And encourage them to create e-portfolios, encourage them to create LinkedIn so that they have a position to show what they learn, and learning contracts, because learning contracts will ensure that you and they both have an ethical platform to work on and a value platform to work on. The learning contract becomes very, very important. Like I said, your course plan is a learning contract. It's a one-way contract. Unless you discuss it and close with them, it won't be a two-way contract. So course plan is a one-way contract from my point of view. So you have to also share it and deal with it and discuss with it before you really execute the entire course plan, because ultimately course plan performance depends on the student, not on you. As simple as that, because they will assist you at the end of it, how you deliver the course. And foundational 1, 2 base, you can do what you want. Base, I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about 4, 5, 6 in this hierarchy system. All right. So this is the total model of Fink's significant learning. Foundation knowledge, application, integration, learning how to learn, caring, and human dimension. If you notice 1 and 4, if you notice the right side, which is, let me again highlight it to you so that there is some perspective which I can give you. Where am I? And okay, right. So so this part is basically what you are really delivering in the classroom, or what you're delivering in terms of the processes. Okay, this part is standard formula 1, 2, 3, which you're going to give them. Rooms understand and or describe, and all those words coming here, okay? But this something which you cannot give in a classroom, therefore you have to create a structure which is outside your syllabus or as a part of the A, B, C, D, E, F formula, which I like to send. Activity-based, blended learning, collaborative learning, directed learning, experiential learning. F is focused learning. And focused learning basically talks of learning how to learn, own what to learn, and using of MOOCs and using of online resources to empower yourself. This is the facet which we're talking about here. And this is the fixed level of learning. And each learning has got its own set of rubrics can be created. Each learning has got, again, it's got verbs if you want. It's got all the verbs given here. And in the website, so if you go to the website, you will find a lot of things, or just ask them Claude AI to help you. It'll help you. And basically, if you don't have a Claude full version, so I suggest you should ask your institute to buy it all. No, we have, normally a license is costing, I think, 25,000 rupees a year. So basis that, just spend 1 lakh and get 4 licenses and have a common ID interface so that faculty can use it among themselves. But make sure that when you do it, you remove the entire chat history because you'll remember. So there are ways of doing it, but that can be shared resource. Some institutions are doing it, because otherwise in fact, the recommendation is that each faculty must have one account. That's not going to happen, but at least, one institution can have 10, 15 accounts, which the faculty can use. So students are anyway using it. They have got ways of cracking it and doing it. So you should also wake up to the sunrise. Okay, this is the deepening practice. This is a significant learning. This is significant learning what they talk about. So again, it's the knowledge, skill, ability, insights. KSAI matrix is followed here. Right? This is the learning. Now, each requires a different set of tools. For example, concept map, test quizzes, structured question answers will be patient. Application will be case studies, tasks, everything. Integration will be essays, projects, and capstone. Again, human dimension. I'll give an example to you what you can do here. These are the, again, 6 which you do that. And an exam cannot capture it. I mean, it can capture me, but it will be a 6-hour exam. An exam cannot capture it. Therefore, you have to have the multiple ways of learning and multiple ways of rubrics. This is the first part. So some indicative examples I've been here. Then this is the the feedback engine, and very, very important to get feedback, because feedback is what pairs this taxonomy. Without feedback, this taxonomy fails. Even Bloom's will fail, but this fails. So talk of forward-looking tasks. Don't talk of content. What we can do with it. With this lab, what we can do, you have a forward-looking task. What they can look to do. Second thing is criteria standards. Rubrics will make it explicit as to what the task is and what is expected. Third thing is, once you give them rubrics, and once the rubrics are understood, they will know what work they have done. They can be able to assess themselves. And normally, I say, look, you self-assess your assessment and give me a score on the rubric. I tell the students. And then I will do benchmarking. And I say, if you got it right, within plus minus 5%, I'll give 5% marks extra. So they will all be very conservative, because they will do that. And also peer measures this. And there's something called fidelity feedback, which is very, very important. Fidelity feedback is critical for this generation and the coming generation. Frequent, immediate, discriminating, criteria based. Frequent, immediate, and discriminating. Criteria based means it has to have the rubrics. And delivered with empathy and high expectations. You cannot see you're a fool. You can improve. This is it. So empathy expectation has to be there, because today this generation is a very pampered generation. They can't handle failures. They cannot. I mean, they are not trained to handle failures, which is a sad reflection of parenting, but that's how it is. Therefore, empathy becomes critical. See, I mean, they say, be friendly, but don't become friends. So empathy in the right place. Yeah. Because a lot of them will have baggages, a lot of them will have emotional baggage, a lot of them will have difficulty, a lot of them have very, very complex backgrounds. So you cannot sit in judgment about the performance unless you are reflective and unless you have a balanced perspective. You are emotionally mature. A faculty must have emotional intelligence, very, very important. So that's the reason why this is what it makes this work. Without this feedback, your no taxonomy works, especially things. And why this is fidelity is very, very important. Feedback is important, frequent, immediate, and discriminating is to identify early on in the program who are the students who require, say, ABC analysis. A are students who don't need you. Without you teaching, they will do very well. B students who can do with the support and can definitely improve. C are the students who, in spite of input, may not be able to improve because they require some specific attention. So C people are what looking for. So B and C identification becomes very, very important. C is very critical to early identification because all of them should progress. So fidelity feedback is one of the mandates of things actually. Okay. Then we come to the next part. This always is a challenge. Don't understand it, fine. No, course outcome. They will say 60% target and they will show 60% achieved. Everywhere I've seen this. The measure is wrong. You cannot take an average or a mean. You cannot add up all the marks and say 60% achieved. No. I believe in a two-tail method. Upper tail, lower tail. Right? For example, I will say that at least 30% of my students will score over 65. And I will say at least not more than 20% of my students will score below 50, whatever it is. If I achieve both, then I have a perfect outcome. Otherwise, I have an imperfect outcome. Yeah. And why this is required is that the upper tail, lower tail is required to make sure that, again, strong learners, weak learners are identified early on. Yeah. If it's not clear, I'll explain to you. 30% of the students in the class score 40%. Right? Out of class of 60, 30 students score average of 40%. Other 30 score average of 80%. What is the average for the class? 120 by 260%. Wow, wow, very good. Arey Baba, half the class has failed. So when you're measuring this practice, when you're looking at discriminating criteria based, this two-tail is the effective measure for your outcomes. This percentage nonsense does not work. It is statistically unsound. Please understand. And yet all of us are using it. Especially engineering institutions are perfect in this. Very bad. So this is what I'm suggesting to you. So if you're looking at things, looking at educative assessment, look at the fidelity model. When discriminating criteria based, look at this particular thing. Use a two-tail measure. If it's not clear, we can come back to it. There's an earlier presentation I've done on this before, but if you feel like that, drop a line to Chitra or drop a line in chat, and we will next session probably when we have next month. I can go on further. If somebody is interested, drop in the chat. Chat also being recorded. All right. This is very important. Central tendencies cannot work. It has to be a nice curve, bell curve as you call it, where the upper 13%, bottom 30%, you have to understand that. Normal distribution. Okay. I hope this is clear. All right. This I am leaving it because this is something which you can read yourself. This is a process recommendation. I'm not going to go very much in that, but it explains the logic of why I require both the tails. This I will leave it for the time being, and you can take it from there. And this again, I will leave it for you because this is how you create the support track, core track, and stress track, because ultimately we have to also understand the processes. This is a recommendation of how the course should run, how the course should create a process, is it? And this is exactly what NAP wants, which is what exactly NAC wants, which is what exactly all the accreditation agencies also want. That are you empowering learners of different capacities in institutions with good emphasis on each individual learning, because learning is individual. Teaching is general, but learning is individual. So are you measuring learning, effective learning, and how are you empowering the different groups of learners is what we're looking at. So this is a process how to create, interpret data from your outcomes to create a personalized learning, customized learning module. Suggestion, please read it at your own time, not a problem. And this is again a pattern of 14 weeks. Normally, 14 weeks is a semester term. What you can do, how you can do. The one example which I have created for you. Again, go through that. It is not important to follow this, but I'm trying to present you some logic of what you're doing. So if you don't have the rationale for what you're doing, then you are in difficulty. So your course must have the rationale. So I'm giving a rationale. And that's why I'm saying It is a teaching, it's a contract, learning contract we require. Course plan is only one side of contract. These things will add value and give you a better contract to deal with. See, copying and all things will not help you check. See, things is a evaluation tool. It does not. AI and all not tell you. See, it's like Bloom's taxonomy. It is just a different scale. It's like a thermometer, boss. A thermometer can measure the heat in the water. It will not tell you from how the heat came. Solar, electric, gas, or fire or thermonuclear. It will not say that. Follow what I'm saying, sir. And it's like a thermometer, no, basically. So it cannot tell you how the water was heated. It will not tell you how it was made. That is something which you have to work on. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying accountability and trust comes. And that's the reason why the mandate is now drill bit and Turnitin has become almost mandatory now. And there are ways people who work on this also. And sometimes I feel, best thing is that let them use all they're using. Let them use in the classroom. Let them work it out. Then you ask them to close everything, throw all the devices out. Give them one A4 sheet of paper with 20 lines and say, please tell me what you have understood from this particular thing. Let them summarize and give you in one side of A4, 150 words what they learned. And that is enough to deal with the problem. Trust me on this. Based on that, you rubric it. What to do? Otherwise, they'll keep cheating. That's why you can't. You take LMS assignments, take online assignment, create the evidence. But suddenly, definitely a task given, let them do what they want. Would you come and let them recap it without any support? Just nothing. One pen, you print the paper, you create A4 paper, print on two sides, give them the key questions, what they answer, let them fill it up. Because if they can answer the questions, then your job as a teacher is done and you can assess them on the basis of that also. You can move away from the other assessment. Other assessment you do for beautification, this and that. And again, if you have a Viva, that's fantastic because, Viva, you will have his work, he won't see his work. He will sit like this, he or she, and they have to answer questions. And that's where Fin comes in, your rubrics. So it is a very transparent system. That's why I said, that you go back to the fidelity feedback system. I hope I've answered your question. Okay. Then again, two-tail report, what to report, central tendency this is very, very clear. If the lower tail is the size of the at-risk group, form a remediation cohort. Upper tail, form an enrichment honors cohort. Tail year-on-year improvement, you must show about improvement because this is for NAAC and NB to improvement. Yeah, that is why two-tail is very, very important, right? I have one more chat. Thank you. Yeah, okay. So don't thank me. My pleasure to work with you. All right. And this is the how to create a template to run the particular diagnostics. How to do. What is the process? Again, is how to create the first line baseline. I told you early identification is very, very important. So this is a suggestion that what you can do. Yeah. Okay. Then we move along to the entire loop. So this is a continuous learning cycle. This is a virtuous cycle. One is identify the baseline, differentiate the tracks, teach and assess with assessment, measure both tails, and re-identify and adjust. And again, PDC. And this is a continuous improvement. And please understand, outcome-based education is not a one-stop assessment. It is basically a continual improvement process, as you call it in ISO. It's a continual improvement process. So you have to show process year and year on. Does it mean that you will not fail? Yes, you will fail. Does it mean that you should not fail? Yes, you should fail. But what to learn from it? It's okay to fail, but not okay to learn from it. Yeah. So therefore, any accreditation system expects you to fail or accepts you to have gaps, but how you address it and what you learn is very, very important. So this is the framework of our presentation today. And obviously IQAC is very, very important. IQAC also gives suggestions to what IQAC can do in terms of creating a more robust practices in terms of implementation of the entire process of outcome-based education. And this is it. So this is the key takeaway which I'm trying to give you. Bloom's is a foundation, not a ceiling. Use it for augmentative, but no, understand what it can't evidence. NHEQ 4 to 6 demand new evidence, competencies, values, and everything else, which you have to now add on to your program or to your subjects or to your courses, depends on what you do. And you're teaching and assessing for adults. So andragogy makes problem-centered self-directed assessment the default. So that you have to learn. They are no longer school children. In fact, andragogy is much higher in CBSE if you look at it in many cases today. And one cohort, one system has to be there. So you can have Ping plus Solo plus Bloom, all you can create, but you have to map it to NHUPF and you have to build to scale. And who owns it? IQSC owns it, because IQSC is ultimately the touchstone of the business. Okay. Now, with that, I will bring to a close. Just let me share something with you, and then I'm open for question answers, or what you would like to do. So the next session, like I told you, is on the 25th of July, exactly probably a month plus couple of days from today. And it is what I call the effective coursework management. I call it the Bible, the educator's Bible. We'll go through that in detail, and this is important. And again, if you have any issues about the two-tail method, drop a line. I'll cover it here because it is a part of the process here. Okay, so I can do that for you. All right. So this is in short, and of course, you're welcome to sign up for the webinar. This will be available in the PowerPoint, and I'm sure my colleague Chitra will also float it. With that, thank you very much from my side, and I will now take any questions. I'm keeping the slide open in case you want any slide to be referred to. Okay. So thank you very much for attending, and any questions, any comments, any observations, please feel free to share with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Dr. Jayachitra. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Kare. Yeah. All right. So I'm here available. Tell me what you would like to do, and I shall be.
Dear participants, any questions is there?
Okay. Thank you, Mercy, and thank you, Rajesh, for your kind words. And again, Arulmozhi, thank you very much. Arulmozhi, yeah, I got it right. Good. So, thank you again. So, so Chitra is very active. She sent you all the links to register for the next session. So, Shamla Devi, thank you very much for your kind words. So, Chitra ma'am.
Sir?
All of Bhavana ji, thank you. They're all thanking us, and so no questions there. So what should you do next? You decide. You're the boss who runs the show.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for an excellent presentation. Dear participants, thank you for your support and active participation. Now we are sharing the screen with flyer of upcoming complimentary webinar in the month of July 2026. And the topic is Effective Course File Management, the benchmark for academic excellence. Participants can register the slot with the link in chat box. And for the present session, we have shared the feedback form for e-certificate in the chat box. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your excellent presentation.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir. Dear participants, kindly submit your feedback form. Kindly please register the upcoming complimentary webinar. Thank you so much, sir, Mr. Dr. Anuj Raj. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Rajendra Prasad, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Aravind Singh. Thank you, Mr. Alagu Parvati. Kindly please register the upcoming complimentary webinar. Thank you, Mrs. Rosemary. Thank you, Mrs. Mayavadi, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Dr. Ashwin Kumar, sir. Thank you, Mr. Alma Shafi, sir. And also thank you, Mr. Deepal Singh, sir. Thank you, Mr. Anit Kumar, sir. And thank you, Mr. Manavalan, sir. It's not opening. This is the issue.